Hello, my name is Chris, and today I would like to talk to you about designing your new normal when you are quitting smoking. I'm going to share with you an exercise that I came up with that helped me to develop new routines, habits and behaviours when I first quit smoking, and that you may find helpful to develop new habits, routines and behaviours of your own. And you may especially find this helpful if you find that your current routines and your current behaviours and ways of being are triggering the urge to smoke. If every time you walk into a particular room or you see a particular person or you do a particular thing, it brings on that compulsion, that urge, that craving for, even if it's only a mental craving for a cigarette, then the exercise I'm about to share with you, you may find it helpful. As I say, this is something I came up with myself because I found that I've been smoking for so often, for so long, that smoking could just become a normal part of my life. Yes, there were all those times when I would reach for a cigarette to change the way I felt, but there were even more times when I would just reach for a cigarette on autopilot because it's what I always did. I used to smoke in a morning. Smoking was such a big part of my morning routine. In fact, smoking was my morning routine, that it got to a point where just waking up in the morning would trigger the urge to smoke. Waiting for the coffee to brew would trigger the urge to smoke because I always smoked in those situations. If you smoke when you are waiting for the bus, then just walking to the bus stop can trigger that urge to smoke because some part in the back of your mind is going, okay, I'm approaching that part where I normally smoke. And then you start to get excited and start to get that urge to get that fix. Then when you quit smoking, if you keep walking to the same bus stop in the same way, you're still going to get that psychological urge. Whereas if I keep waking up in the morning and doing the exact same routine that I did, albeit without cigarettes, I'm still going to have that urge to smoke. I'm still going to have that compulsion, that craving, because I'm just going about the same routine that I always went through, except without a cigarette. And it feels weird to do that. One of my things was I'd be sitting in my office at work and every hour I'd get up and have a cigarette. Then when I quit smoking, I'd still sit in the same office and still do the same work, and still every hour I would think, okay, I'm supposed to smoke now. Where is my cigarette? Where is it? I'm supposed to be smoking. And I would get that urge of like, oh my God, something is weird, something is wrong, I'm supposed to be smoking, and I would get tense and irritable. So I had to design a new normal. Instead of smoking every hour being normal, I changed it. Instead of smoking on the way to the bus stop or smoking at the bus stop, I changed the way I moved. Instead of smoking first thing when I got up, I changed my routine and created a new normal. Now it's all well and good me saying, hey, you should change your normal if you are, if you keep going into trigger situations, if you keep going into events or places or talking to people that are triggering you to smoke. It's all well and good me saying, hey, you should change that. But how? I created an exercise that I've literally just called Designing Your New Normal. And it's 4 simple steps to identifying those times when you are triggered to smoke, identifying what you can do differently about them, and most importantly, taking action so that you don't just design your new normal, you begin to develop and create it. You can do this in a journal or a notebook, just as I have done here. I'm not sure how clear that is on the camera. I'll guide you through what the heck I've just done here very soon. If you prefer, I have also created another lovely worksheet for you, which you can get if you go to chrisscoyles.com /new normal. You will find that there is a PDF document that you can print out, or there is a Microsoft Word document that you can just download, edit and do whatever the heck you like with. I'm going to fade out, I'm going to fade up, and then I am going to share with you each of the 4 steps of this process. Step 1 is simply about paying attention to what is going on for us when we get those triggers to smoke. It's about paying attention to where are we? What are we doing? What time is it? Was it like the morning? Is it the afternoon? Is it late at night? It's about paying attention to anything else that seeps through to our subconscious and makes us think, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be smoking right now. For the rest of today, if not tomorrow as well, I want you to pay attention to everything that's going on around you when you feel the urge to smoke. I want you to write it all down. The reason I made the worksheet is that I found it was easier to put all this in a table, and you might do too. So you can either use the worksheets that you download from my website, or you can jot it down in a journal like I've done here. Again, I'm not sure how clear this is on screen, but I'll try and talk you through this as best I can. So in this first column, I've written TS. That stands for trigger situation. What situation am I in that causes the triggers, and I've just numbered them so that they're easy to reference. Then across the top I've got where, what, when and other. So my first trigger situation, I was in the kitchen. I was making coffee, that's the what. It was the morning, which is the when. In this other column I could have put the smell of coffee. Or you might put, if there is a smell or a sight or a sound that doesn't quite neatly fit into any of these 3 boxes, you can put it in this 4th column here. The second trigger situation for me, I was in my office, I was just browsing the web, and it was morning again, because my routine used to be get up, smoke, get coffee, drink coffee, browse the web, smoke, repeat. My third trigger situation, I was back in the kitchen, I was preparing lunch, I was waiting for some soup to warm up in the microwave, and so the time was obviously lunchtime. Again, I might have written some other stuff in this column, but I just didn't on this particular day. Do this for the rest of today, if not, like I say, tomorrow as well, because what you're doing here is you're gathering data. I know that sounds sexy, right? We're going to gather some data and we're going to analyze the data. Oh baby. But it is important because this will help us to identify what is going on for us. The more we do this, the more we should start to notice some patterns. We should notice that, okay, 2 of my triggers took place in the kitchen, 2 of my triggers took place in the morning. So I've got one group of triggers is the kitchen, one group of triggers is the morning. You might find that on your chart you have trigger situation 1 was when I got to my desk in the morning, I saw a big stack of papers. Where was I? I was at work. Trigger situation 2 was the big meeting with my boss. I was at work. Trigger situation 3 might be having to do the afternoon presentation. Again, I was at work, so the familiar pattern here was I was at work. It might be that you're always triggered when you're driving to work, when you're driving to the supermarket, and when you're driving to pick your son up from football practice. So the familiar thing might be in the work column, and it might be in the car. Next, we're going to look and closely analyse these and come up with those patterns in step 2. You'll notice here I've kept this nice and simple. I just used a trusty highlighter pen, and I noticed that, okay, here's a familiar pattern. I was in the kitchen twice when I was triggered, and it was the morning twice. So I've highlighted these. You might circle them, underline them, I don't know, whatever the heck you want to do to make them stand out. And it's easier for us to put these things together in groups because it makes designing our new normal that much easier. If I had to come up with one strategy for making coffee, an entirely different strategy for making soup, an entirely different strategy for this, for that, for the other, then I might be here all day and I would never get anything done. So I'll group them together, right? Okay, if I'm always triggered when I'm in my car, then I don't need to design one new normal for driving to work and an entirely different one for driving to the supermarket. I just notice I'm always triggered in the car, so my new normal is focused around doing something differently when I am in my car. And that is the third step of the exercise. So the first step was gathering our data. The second step was analysing the data. The third step was starting to use that data to actually make new and exciting plans for our new normal. For so long, like I say, my normal was just to wake up and smoke and drink coffee and smoke and drink coffee. It's kind of boring, right? I kind of regret all that time that I've wasted, but at least I can do something about it now. So I knew that, okay, the morning is the one time when a lot of my triggers come. So I need to design a new morning routine. And that was really exciting because I thought I can do anything with it. I can do things I've always wanted to do. You know, I can do a bit of exercise, I can meditate, I can journal, I can read. So the next step on the worksheet that I've designed for you is you take your first group of, you write down the 3 groups or the 4 groups or the 1 group of trigger situations, whether that's in the car, at work, in the kitchen. And the next step, you say, okay, I'm going to name this first trigger situation kitchen. And then underneath, I'm going to write, instead of smoking, when I am in my kitchen, not I will, because we're not talking about future tense here, because it's very easy for me to say, I will do this, and then never do it. So I say I, as in I am doing this now, this is what I do. Psychologically we start to think, okay, this is what I do now, so this is my new habit. So I would write in this situation, when I am in my kitchen, I will drink a glass of water instead of making coffee. I will keep a book nearby so that if I need to wait for food to cook, I've got something to read. I will put the food or the coffee or the kettle on or whatever I need to do, and then I leave the room. If my trigger situation is in my car, then it might be trigger situation car. When I am in my car, instead of smoking, I listen to a podcast or my favourite music, or call somebody. When I say call somebody up, don't drive and use your phone, that's illegal, but you can use the hands-free things. Probably a really bad example, but you will know what's going to work for you. I'm always triggered when I'm at work, so what can I do differently when I'm at work? And write it in the present tense as if you already do it, as if it's already a habit. Now that you have designed your new normal, it is time to develop it. And this is the most important step of all, because it's so easy to write something down on a piece of paper and say, okay, instead of smoking, I do this, I go here, this happens, and then get up in the morning the following day and just do the same old stuff we've always done. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. So we have to make sure that these new habits and these new routines are as easy to implement as possible, so that we will actually do them. And this means taking action. On the worksheet, you will see that after we've designed the new normal, it says the first thing I need to do to make this happen is, and the next thing is, and the next thing is. So for me, going back to my example of, I needed to design a new morning routine. So I decided that my new morning routine, instead of smoking and drinking coffee all morning, I was going to read a book, I was going to practice meditation, and I was going to do a little bit of journaling. So the first thing that I needed to do to make it as easy as possible to form this new habit and develop this new routine was to go and choose a book that I wanted to read, that I really looking forward to reading, and put it down on my coffee table so that when I woke up in the morning and I sat down, there was the book ready for me to pick up and start reading. The next action was to go out and buy a nice journal and a nice pen, so that when it came time to journaling, I would actually look forward to using these things. Then the third action was I would go and download some guided meditations, or I'd read a bit about meditation. If the new normal that I'm designing is I design a new normal for my car, and I decide I'm going to listen to podcasts as a way to take my mind off smoking, then in order to make it as easy as possible to do that, I need to first go and decide what podcasts I want to listen to and actually download them, so I don't get in my car and go, I was supposed to listen to a podcast and now I'm going to have to find one. They're just there and I can just load them up. If you decide that one of your trigger situations is in the evening and it comes from boredom, and you decide you're going to start a new hobby or some exercise, go out and get the things that you need to do that hobby or to do that exercise. And not just get them, but get them and put them in a prominent place where you will see them and be encouraged to use them. I put room on the worksheet for 3 actions. You might have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, but we can be here all day with that. Okay, write down the actions. Now you have a plan. Now this isn't just some idea, some concept, some wouldn't it be nice if, it's an actual concrete plan. The final step at the end of the worksheet, it says, what is the one action I can take right now? Not tomorrow, not in an hour's time. What's the one thing that when I finish designing my new normal, I can go and do, and it will start the process of changing my behaviours, my routines, and my patterns. Remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. So if every single day I am walking into a certain situation and I continue to be triggered, then why do I expect that next time I just magically won't be triggered? Maybe instead of just doing the same thing, I need to do things a little bit differently so that I'm less triggered, or so that even if I am triggered, I can deal with it in a way that is more effective. Again, you can jot all of this down in your journal or in a notebook, or if you prefer to use the actual worksheets, you can go to chrisscoyles.com/new-normal. And you'll find those there. You'll also find other worksheets such as journal prompts and the relapse recovery plan by going to chrisscoyles.com/worksheets. Final little bit of shilling that I want to do. As I mentioned last week, my new book, Quit Smoking and Be Happy, will be out on November 8th. I've just had the cover design. It looks beautiful. I'll be getting pre-orders to ready literally the minute I finish making this video. So I'm going to put another video out in the next day or two, just telling you about how you can get hold of that book. I'm really excited for you to read it. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you so much for all of your support over the last couple of years and continuing to watch my videos. I do genuinely hope that you get something from them. If you would like to join me and other like-minded people as we support each other through our quit smoking journey, you can come see us at facebook.com/groups/findingfreedom1. The link is in the description. We have this wonderful community of people who are getting together and supporting each other through their quit smoking journey. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.